Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm Inside Elections. Today is Sunday, January 18th, 2026, and today we're going to be talking about this shocking poll coming out of the state of Texas that shows Democrats tied and with a small minuscule lead in the state of Texas for the Senate race in 2026. This poll from Emerson College shows that if and only if one, Ken Paxton is the Republican nominee, and two, James Tallarico is the Democratic nominee. This actually shows if Ken Paxton is the nominee that Jasmine Crockett would do just as good as James Tallarico, but take with that what you will. Personally, in my opinion, I don't think she can win. I believe James Tallarico can win this Senate race, and that is that James Tallarico can win, and Jasmine Crockett for that, since they can both win this Senate race, as this new poll says. They have John. Now, if the Republican nominee is not Ken Paxton, the incumbent Republican Senator, John Cornyn, leads both the Democratic candidates. He leads James Tallarico by 3 points, and he leads Crockett by 5 points. If he's the nominee, Democrats can just throw this race out the window. They're not going to win it. They can come close. If they get lucky, they can narrow it up from the 2024 margin, but they are not going to be able to flip it. The only way they flip it is with Ken Paxton versus James Tallarico. And I say that, and it looks good for the Democratic Party because of that. Let me show you. In this poll, fine. No, we'll look at the cross-up later. In this poll, the Emerson College poll, they have Ken Paxton up by one singular point. They have Ken Paxton winning this Republican primary by 1 point. However, it has a 31% other response. So it's really it's out the window. Nobody really knows who's going to win this nomination. We will see on March 3rd, 2026, but until then, it's up in the air who's going to win this nomination. Ken Paxton or John Cornyn. Wesley Hunt is kind of there, not going to do anything. But it looks like Ken Paxton, other polls show Ken Paxton with the lead. Ken Paxton winning in Emerson College, JL Partners winning, Ken Paxton winning. This other poll has John Cornyn winning. Then TSU has Paxton winning by a close margin. The point is that this is a close Republican primary, and if Ken Paxton wins this primary, or Democrats have a shot at winning this seat in 2026. That's because Ken Paxton is an extremely far-right candidate. He's been impeached by the Texas Senate. He's the state attorney general. He's scandal-plagued. He's extremely far-right, MAGA, and that doesn't bode well with the typical independent voter. It may bode well with the Republicans and the Republican primary, which is why, of course, it's the Republican primary. Why he's winning, because the Republicans are the ones who are more prone to this type of candidate. But when it comes to the general election, that shows because he is tied against James Tallarico and Jasmine Crockett. And we can let's look at the Democratic primary. We've only had 2 Democratic primary polls since Colin Allred dropped out of the race. It's going to be the first one had Jasmine Crockett leading by 8 points, but that was right after the news that Colin Allred dropped out. Actually, it's better on Wikipedia to find the primary. Let me find it. Yeah. You see, we only have 2 polls from after Allred dropping out. He dropped out on December 8th. The December 9th through 11th poll has Jasmine Crockett leading, and that is because Jasmine Crockett is more known amongst the Democratic primary, amongst the Democratic electorate in the state of Texas. But since then, about a month, just over a month, fast, it was December 9th. Now this poll was on January 10th. Now that voters are familiar with James Tallarico more, now that he's campaigned, he's spent $1.3 million on campaigning. He's saving the $5 million for actual general election after the primary to campaign against whoever he's going against, Ken Paxton or John Cornyn. The point is that if James Tallarico wins this race, this primary, and Ken Paxton also wins his primary, James Tallarico has a chance at flipping this Senate race blue. What I find interesting is the prediction website. Inside Elections, the Political Report, Larry Sabado's Crystal Ball, and the White House. If you notice, the only one that's been updated since this poll is race to the White House, and they updated it to tilt Republican. Well, all these other polling aggregates from months ago how this race is likely are, now that the new information is coming out, now that people are more familiar with James Tallarico, it's down to a tilt R ranking. That means that these pollsters think that the Republican is only going to win this race by about 1 point. And that is well within the margin of error, which means that James Tallarico, the Democrat, if he wins, or I guess Jasmine Crockett as well, but I just cannot see Texas electing Jasmine Crockett after electing Donald Trump by 14 points. James Tallarico, maybe. Once again, all this is a long shot. This is a red state. But if we look at the last Senate race, Texas votes better for the Democrats on the Senate level than the presidential level. Like I showed you, 2024, Texas went to Trump by 14. 2020, it only went to Trump by 5.6. The Senate race, however, in 2024 only went to Cruz by 8.5. In 2022, there wasn't one in 2022, my bad, but in 2020, it went to Cornyn by 10. Once again, like I said, John Cornyn is the popular Republican candidate. If he's the incumbent senator, if he wins the primary, he's going to win the general election without even, he wouldn't have to spend $1 on campaigning, he would win. But he's getting hard primaried because he doesn't have Donald Trump's endorsement, because he's kind of swayed himself away from Donald Trump, which if you're doing that in a red state, you're going to get primaried. But in 2018, so I want to look at, this race was down to 2.6. This was the last Democratic blue wave year. 2020 was sort of a blue wave, but 2018 was a real blue wave. And just like how 2026 is shaping to be, 2018 only elected a Republican senator by 2 points. And I believe that these polls are showing that is going to happen again. And if Democrats can just do 2 points better than that, they can flip Texas blue in 2026. Now I want to look at the crosstabs to show you that this is not a Democratic poll. This is not skewed towards the Democrats. This poll has Donald Trump at a negative approval by about 2 points. No, sorry, I said that wrong. He has a positive approval by about 2 points. 46.3 to 48.1 approval. He's positive by about 2 points. And they approve of Governor Greg Abbott by, what is happening? Sorry, crosstabs are very confusing. I have to refresh this. Okay, I'm just going to scroll down, find. Okay, James Tallarico, Jasmine Crockett. James Tallarico leads by 9 points. That is very good for James Tallarico and the Democratic Party, of course. Let's see if I can. Okay, sorry, the crosstabs are all messed up. I was going to party affiliation. Democrats only have 29% of party affiliation in this poll. Republicans have 43%. This is not a poll with a Democratic average. It has a Republican average. They approve of Donald Trump. The poll is made up of vastly more Republicans than Democrats. And that is showing just how discontent Republicans are with that, not how discontent Texans are with Republicans, with Ken Paxton, with John Cornyn, which means that James Tallarico can sweep from under the rug and win this Senate race from the Republicans. And if James Tallarico wins the Senate race, if Mary Bertola wins the Alaska Senate race, like polls are saying she will, if Democrats win the 4 key battlegrounds of Michigan, Maine, Georgia, and North Carolina, they win the Senate. That is a majority. I'll pull it up actually. Give me 2 seconds. Sorry, I should have had this pulled up already. But let me show you this. I'm just going to fill this in. States are going to go to the Democratic Party. I'm not going to worry about margins right now. It's going to fill all these in. Try it real quick. Okay, then the Republican Party, they're going to win all these states. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so if this is sort of how the Senate map is going to look. The battlegrounds are the ones left. We'll take away Ohio. Ohio is arguably more of a battleground than Texas, but we're talking about Texas, not Ohio. So we're just going to say Ohio's going to go to the Republicans, even though polls show it close. If Democrats hold on to Michigan, if they flip Maine, if they flip North Carolina like they're expected to do, same with Maine, same with Michigan, and they keep on to Georgia like they're expected to do, that brings the Senate to 49-49. If Maricopa wins in Alaska, like polls are showing she will, that brings it to 50-49. If Democrats and James Largo flip Texas, that is a Senate majority, 51-49. That is a Senate majority for the Democratic Party. They would come back from being behind 47-53 to winning the Senate. Now, should they lose this race, it'll be 50-50. And the vice president, J.D. Vance, will be the tiebreaker. That's a Republican majority. But if Democrats win this, that is a Democratic majority in the Senate, in the United States Senate. And it all comes down to Ken Paxton and James Tellerico. Okay, that's enough of my yapping. That's enough of my analysis. What are your thoughts on this race? Do you think this poll is any accurate? Do you think what are your thoughts on this race? Comments and video ideas in the comments. I'll make a video about it if you drop a video idea. And if you enjoyed this video, I encourage you to like it, subscribe to my channel. I let you news daily, and yeah, I hope you have a great day.